Okay, why don't we go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us for the latest in our webinar series. Today's webinar will discuss how to automate password resets and eliminate up to 40% of your help desk calls. Password resets are a big headache for many organizations. We hear about it from them all the time, and we'll be talking about how automation can eliminate that headache so help desk staff can work on more important things. And I just also want to say a couple things up front. This is the first time that we've used the GoToMeeting webinar tool, so I apologize in advance if we have any hiccups. We're still kind of learning it ourselves. And also, if you have any questions during the webinar, please submit them through your chat client, and we'll try answering all of them during the Q&A session. By the way, I'm Guy Nadidi, Business Development Manager for IAHU, and I'm joined today by my colleague, Yaron Levy, IAHU's Vice President of Professional Services, and together we're going to show you how to automate password resets. Okay, before we dive in, I'm just going to do a brief commercial about IAHU. We are a Gartner-recognized industry leader in the IT process automation space. We were founded in 2007 and are now completing our 9th year as a company in this niche market. We've had an automation solution available for the market for over 6 years, and it's called iShare. The most recent release is version 4.7. And our largest investor and chairman of our board is Eric Benamou, whose name some of you may remember from the days when he was CEO of 3Com Corporation and Palm Computers. He's currently founder and general partner of Benamou Global Ventures, BGV, an early-stage VC firm based in Silicon Valley. iShare, our tool that we use for automating password resets, is currently being used by some very large and recognizable organizations. And automating password resets is one of the most popular functions that they use iShare. So let's start by talking about help desks. What's yours like? The iconic image that a lot of people have of help desk personnel is that of a calm, confident person on the other end of that phone, ready to address whatever question or problem you have. The reality is a bit different, though. Help desks are often overwhelmed, overworked, and definitely stressed out. And here's what's causing the help desk all that stress. And according to Gartner, it can be organized into 5 categories. Number 1, password resets. Number 2, break, fix problems. Number 3, how-to questions. Number 4, service outages. And number 5, service requests. Now, these are the 5 general categories, and I want to draw your attention to a couple of interesting observations about this chart. One, which you might have noticed right away, is that password resets comprise the largest category of service calls to your help desk, as much as 40%. But that becomes even more interesting in light of the second observation, which is that the other categories are all generic, right? Only password resets, which is a very specific activity, gets its own category. What does that tell you? Well, it says that password resets are such a colossal headache for your help desk that their sheer volume merits its own category, despite being only one of many, many things your help desk staff is probably working on. So your help desk is stressed out, and about 40% of that stress is caused by password resets. The big question is then, what's that stress costing your organization? Well, there's at least a couple of ways to quantify that, but here's one approach. Start by asking yourself how much the average cost of a call to your help desk was during the course of a year. Do you know what that number is for your organization? If not, don't worry. Not every organization calculates that, though they probably should. If your organization doesn't know that number, just use Gartner's as a starting point. By the way, those of you with Gartner subscriptions might recognize the little number posted under the Gartner logo. The numbers I'm going to be quoting you come directly from Gartner, and you're welcome to confirm them yourself by referencing that particular research document. And according to Gartner, in 2014, the average cost of a call to your help desk was $17.88. So now it's a simple matter of taking the number of requests for password resets that came through your help desk last year and multiplying that by this Gartner number to calculate how much your organization spent just on password resets. Here's another way to quantify the cost of your help desk dealing with password resets. This time we start by figuring out how much each one of your IT service desk staff members are being compensated. And remember to include salary, bonuses, stock options, 401k contributions, health and wellness benefits, life and accident insurance, other insurance, and of course the all-important perks like gym membership, cars, allowances, etc. And add all of that up and then multiply that number by the 40% figure to determine how much you're paying them to reset passwords. Don't have that number handy? No problem. Let's turn once again to our friends at Gartner, who have gone to a lot of trouble to figure out what the average salary and benefit cost per help desk support FTE are. FTE, for those of you not familiar, is full-time equivalent. And again, just use Gartner's number as a starting point. So what's that number? Well, according to Gartner, in 2014, the average salary and benefits cost per help desk support FTE working the IT service desk was just a smidgen over $80,000 a year. So now you multiply that number by 40%, and we arrive at the average cost of password resets per help desk employee, which is a whopping $32,000 per year per staff member. By the way, this time our number comes courtesy of Gartner's 2014 IT Key Metrics Data Supplemental Toolkit, which is a very handy spreadsheet to help you figure out your IT costs. So here's a typical example of one of those help desk situations. We have a client that's a multinational pharmaceutical organization. They were doing about 25,000 password resets annually, which was, in their case, 22% of their total service desk call volume. And to complicate things, they had nearly 20 different domains that people logged into, and oftentimes an individual had access to log into multiple domains. So this not only put a huge strain on the service desk, but as you can guess, it led to a lot of very frustrated end users and ultimately to a loss of productivity and revenue. So what we propose to this client is that they let IT process automation handle their password resets, and that they let users do so in a self-service manner using their own personal mobile device. And this eliminated the need for them to have access to a network-connected PC while ensuring a minimal learning curve, since every user was already familiar with how to use their own smartphone, tablet, or other mobile device. And by the way, this approach is endorsed by Gartner, who's found that users prefer self-service password resets via mobile devices. And they also found that this approach was a vast improvement over alternatives like interactive voice response, also known as using a phone. Okay, here's how it works. The user initiates a request by texting an SMS message to a predefined account. The message can be whatever you want, but typically it's going to be something like reset my password. Now that text message gets to our iShare server, which then initiates an automated workflow that does a number of things. It retrieves the user's name based on their incoming mobile number, and then if the mobile number matches, it considers the user's existence to be confirmed. iShare then generates a temporary password and resets their account with it. It then updates the Active Directory settings so the user will have to change their password upon next login. And finally, the new temporary password is sent back to the end user's mobile device. The end user then uses the temporary password to get back into the network that they're locked out of, and they can also receive a message to their mobile device indicating that their password was successfully reset. Now, by the way, what I'm showing here is an overview of a very vanilla process, and the same process can be easily customized according to an organization's specific needs. So usually companies have a lot more complexity they like to add to this process, which iShare can easily handle, like accommodating multi-domain Active Directories or adding security questions in addition to the basic identity verification. Okay, so what were the results of this approach? Well, as you can imagine, end user frustration went down and customer satisfaction went way up. The end users were thrilled that they now had the ability to reset passwords anytime and from anywhere, as long as they had their mobile device with them. The service desk was thrilled because they eliminated a huge chunk of their calls, freeing them up to focus on more important things. Additional benefits include improved security, which improved the organization's compliance with various industry standards. And according to Gartner's calculations, they also realized a serious cost savings by enabling self-service password resets using IT process automation. Okay, what differentiates using iShare from the other self-service password resetting tools out there? Well, as it turns out, a number of things. First, you don't need to install any software on your client desktops, mobile devices, or anywhere for that matter. All you need is one iShare server and one SMS modem, and you've got everything you need. iShare is an IT process automation tool that can automate a number of processes, and it's already integrated with nearly every leading ITSM platform, including ServiceNow, BMC Remedy, Jira, Tivoli, HP Service Manager, etc. So it's easy for iShare to document a ticket automatically for each end user's self-service password reset. There's also no programming required. Our interface is entirely drag and drop. If you can use Visio, then you'll have a fairly easy time using iShare. iShare is also very versatile, and it can be deployed on-premise or in the cloud, on a physical or virtual server. And iShare and the workflow for resetting passwords can be up and running in your environment literally in less than an hour, simply because it's already been built and it's ready to go out of the box. Okay, I've spoken enough, and you're all probably eager to see the demo portion of our webinar, so we're going to dive in now. I'm going to go ahead and make my colleague Yaron Levy the presenter, and he'll take it from here. And while that's going on, we're going to go ahead and do a quick poll. So I'm going to leave it to our colleague Noy to go ahead and do that. And what you see on your screen now is a quick poll. We'd love for you to answer. And tell us what percentage of your help desk's calls are for password resets. And you've got a number of choices there. And we'd love to hear from you, and we'll show you the results very shortly. So we'll just take another minute to do that. That'll give Yaron a chance to set up.
Guy, can you confirm if you're seeing my screen?
I do not see your screen yet. I'm just seeing the poll right now. Okay, there's the poll results, and it looks like the percentage of your help desk's calls that are for password resets is significant for most of our respondents. So looks like more than 3/4 of you said that it's up to between more than 10% and as much as 40%. So there you go. It's a common problem for everybody. Okay, Yaron, why don't you go ahead and take it away from here and show us the demo.
Okay, Guy. Guy, can you confirm you're seeing my desktop? In a second. How about now?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. So hello, everyone. Again, my name is Yaron Levy, and I'm managing the professional services here in Yale. And again, we're going to start with the concept of iShare. So iShare is an easy-to-use and robust IT process automation platform that enable you guys to design and build different type of IT operation and security processes to help you to remediate all kinds of stuff. It's capable of intercepting events from different type of systems like monitoring systems, ticketing system, SNMP traps, email, and also text messages, and run a corresponding workflow to automate and help you to troubleshoot and remediate all kinds of issues inside your network operating center, but also to assist you in acting as a self-service password reset system. Today, the demonstration is focused on the Active Directory password reset. We're going to use my mobile, to trigger a request and to reset John user account within his Active Directory. A couple of things about the system itself. First, iShare comes with two main interfaces. The one that you're seeing right now is the dashboard, and the other interface is the studio. The studio can help you guys to do all the setup of the systems and build a different type of workflows, and we're going to see a workflow later on. The dashboard is mainly used to centralize events, so if your system is connected to a monitoring or a ticketing system, everything is going to be centralized over here. Also, requests coming from end user about password reset, you can will be able to view them over here in real time. A few words about how do we send and receive text messages. So there are a couple of ways that iShare supports. The common way is through a GSM device. It's a modem that you can connect physically to your servers, and we can use that to send and receive text messages. In my environment, I'm actually integrated with Twilio. It's an online service that you guys can use to send and receive text messages, and that's what I'm going to use right now. Basically, it doesn't take more than 5 minutes to have that integration ready and give iShare the capabilities to send and receive text messages. So let's talk about the password reset. The workflow that we've built very quick to serve for this demonstration is what you're seeing right now. And we're going to talk about all the steps of this workflow right after my demonstration. Also, with my environment, I have my Active Directory. This is the user that we're going to reset its password, John. And this is the phone number, my phone number, that we're going to use in order to validate, hey, this is the right person. I also have ServiceNow available over here. I'm using ServiceNow as my help desk system. We will be able to see also how we document the request directly inside the ticketing system. It can be any type of ticketing system. We support BMC Remedy, the HP Service Manager, Jira, whatever you guys are using that can be integrated very quickly as well. So let's go ahead and start. Let me put on my dashboard. And once I'm going to trigger this request through my mobile, we're going to see an incoming incident inside this dashboard. And basically, in order for you guys to view what exactly I'm sending with my mobile, I'm going to open also a PowerPoint short presentation over here just for you guys to see exactly what I'm doing on my end on my mobile. And then we're going to have iShare over here as well. Let me put that over here. Take this Active Directory off. Perfect. So I'm going to send a request to reset John account. I'm doing that right now. We're waiting for iShare to get that request. You can see the request inside the dashboard, Active Directory, password reset, user John requested to reset his AD password. If someone clicks here on the active logs, they can actually view all the steps that the workflow is doing behind the scene. So obviously the first step you're going to do is you're going to start validating, hey, let's first make sure that this user really exists within my Active Directory and that this is not a false request for a user that doesn't exist. This is exactly what happened over here. I should start with the user exists action, and you can see the result of here that it's true. Yeah, we have a user called John inside the Active Directory. Second step will be, hey, maybe this user was disabled. You do not want to enable him. You don't want to reset its password. So we're doing a second check just to make sure. You can see that the result that it is false. The user is not disabled, which is good. And this is where we're interacting with the AD and extracting the phone number. We want to make sure first that the phone number, the source phone number that triggered that text message is the same phone number that exists inside the Active Directory, just to have a match over there. And once that's confirmed, this is where we're sending a question, a security question, if you want to call it that way, to the user. So basically what I received over here is a message like this: in order to verify your identity, please respond with your employee ID within 5 minutes. So I'm going to respond my ID right now. Responded 12345, that's my ID. We're validating again against Active Directory that this is the exact employee ID that matches John. Next step, now we know that we're communicating with John, was to reset its password. Let me show you the message that we received. Reset its password, sending him a new password. You can see the password over here. This is the same password that I've received. And his account has been reset and been prepared for changing password at the next login. Also, since I have my service desk over here, you can see that as part of the process, we've automatically opened a ticket inside ServiceNow, inside my ticketing system, just to document this request. By the way, if someone that is not approved to send requests or sending like a false request, we can also catch those incidents and first log them also inside your ticketing system. So you're going to have track of requests that are not authorized to send through iShare, but also under the dashboard itself, you will be seeing in red for requests like Mike that tried to send a request and Mike did not reply his correct employee ID. And this is how we can catch those requests and also send notification to security teams or whatever. So let's go behind the scene and take a look at the way this workflow looks like. So what you're seeing right now is the iShare Workflow Designer. This designer can help you to design any type of policy you would like to apply your password reset inside your organization. Basically, it's a drawing board that you can draw the process that you would like to do. All these actions that you're seeing here, actions that we've witnessed within the demonstration right now, like the checking if a user exists, checking if the account is disabled, all these actions actually exist on the left side on the toolbox. The toolbox over here comes with 500 ready actions. There's no programming or any development that requires in order to create those workflows. That's why we're saying that, in order to have such system ready for you guys, the only thing you need to do is install it, and in 1 hour, you're going to get a working environment that you can test and move to production. So let's talk for a second about the toolbox. Again, 500 different type of actions, all divided by different type of categories. So for instance, under Active Directory, you will find all this bunch of actions that I used inside my demonstration, such as validating if a user exists, check if his account is disabled or not. Common workflows that we're seeing using this category can be from password reset, obviously, unlock user account, onboarding processes that a company can do, termination, and so on. There are lots of other actions over here. I'm not going to go over with you guys. It can be a different webinar, but there's a lot of things that you can do. Let's focus for a second about the workflow that we've executed. First action that we're going to start with, the main one is, hey, let's check if the user existed in the Active Directory. So the first thing that happens over here is that iShare intercepted that text message and extracted the username from there. This is where we're using a variable over here that contains, in our example, John. This is where we're communicating with the Active Directory. This is my Active Directory server. And based on the result of this action, true or false, this is the way the workflow will proceed. So false will just go from this branch to the end of the workflow, and will update the incident on my dashboard saying that this was a wrong user, or whatever message you want to control it. You can do it from here, and also open a ticket inside ServiceNow just for letting know there was a false call over here. In our case, true, the user does exist inside the Active Directory. This is where we're checking, hey, let's make sure that John is not disabled. The result was false. This is where we've extracted John mobile number from the Active Directory. Now keep in mind, not all the information needs to be reside inside your Active Directory. Some of the actions that you can use over here under the database, for example, is communicate with some other databases, SQL, Oracle, whatever, and validate the information against those databases. So information like the mobile number, the username, email address, whatever you want to ask the user through a security questions, you can combine iShare to communicate with an existing database and extract and validate all the information from there. In our case, we've checked that against our Active Directory. We got the mobile number. We validated that the mobile number equals the source that trigger this process. And now that we know that we're communicating with John, this is where we're sending him the question, hey, can you please provide your employee ID? Obviously, you can limit the time that he can respond back and ignore any further requests if that time has been passed. Based on the result of his employee ID that he provides back to iShare, this is where we're validating that the employee ID really matched the one within our Active Directory. And if that's true, this is where iShare can generate a password. So the password generate activity can help you to generate any type of password that you guys require from security perspective inside your Active Directory. So it can be a combination of upper and lowercase. It can be only uppercase. You can include numbers, as many numbers as you want. You can include special characters if you want to. And obviously the length of the password, and iShare will automatically generate a new password for that user. This is where we're communicating again with Active Directory and requesting to reset that user with that new password. And the last interaction with Active Directory is in order to set that the user will need to change his password at the next logon. Of course, that's an optional and based on the policy inside your organizations. This is where we're interacting back to the user, to the source, sending him, hey, your new password going to be replaced over here, and it will be sent to him. He's going to get his password. Obviously, you can modify this process very easily and say that, hey, you have like 5-10 minutes to change your password, or then we're going to reset it to something else that he cannot use. You can control everything. This is where we're updating ServiceNow. Again, my ticketing system with the request, and then closing this incident. This is a very typically workflow that we're seeing out there, a workflow that doesn't take more than a couple of minutes to build. What's nice of it is that it doesn't limit you to any type of policy that you guys require within your organization. There's no limitation over here. It's a Lego. You get a building blocks. You can design it in any way you want. For instance, let's say that part of the process is to get some confirmation from a manager before sending the user a password. So let's say that after the user authenticates himself by sending his employee ID, you would like to send a text message maybe to his manager and request an approval to send that password to that new user. Not a problem. You're going to use the send SMS over here, just right after the authentication of and the validation of the employee number. This is where you're going to set up the phone number of the manager or the name of the manager. Over here, you can type any message that you would like to send the manager. Hello, Mr. Manager, user, and we're going to use the variable again. Requested to reset his password. Do you approve? Reply yes or no. We're then going to use an if-else branches, this activity, just after sending the text message. And if the result, and by the way, we're going to give the manager like 10 minutes to reply back. Only if he replies back that he approves giving the user the new password, then you can take all these branch of actions, move them under the yes branch, and that's it. Now you have a workflow that actually requires a manager approval before forwarding the message or the password to the end user. So basically, this is how easily you can modify and build whatever policy you guys require inside your organization. So just to summarize a couple of things to keep in mind, I think Guy mentioned them, and I'm going to repeat some of them right now. So first of all, cross-domain, it doesn't matter how many domain controllers, different domains you guys have within your organization. I know that, from time to time, a company do an acquisition of a different company. It takes time to migrate the domains, and in that period of time, you have a couple of domains and you need to support password requests. There's no limitation over here. There's no limitation of how many requests or how many employees you guys have that you can send those requests. You get a flexible policy and very easy to use tool. You can combine also a self-service, a web portal self-service that also comes with this product in order for users to log in or even log in as an anonymous users and request to reset their password. We can integrate with any LDAP. It doesn't have to be Active Directory, Microsoft Active Directory. We can integrate with identity solutions as well and any other third-party solution that requires to reset its password, like SAP or security system or whatever system that requires logging. We will be able to integrate with that. Integrating with any ticketing system. So that's important to have everything documented, including, both successful password reset requests, but also requests that are not approved. As you see, combined managers approval is part of the process. And one of the things that we're seeing also is that people are using this tool to also create a registration process where someone answers a couple of security questions, put that in a database, and then once this process is running, we're extracting those questions, validate the answers against the user, and reset its password. And basically, that's it. If anyone has questions, Guy?
Thanks, Yaron. Okay, I'll go ahead and try and take back control of the screen. Let's see. I may need a little bit of help on this. Oh, okay, I've got a request. Sorry, folks, we're still kind of new with GoToMeeting. Noy, if you could maybe help here. Ah, there we go. Thank you. Okay. Okay, and hopefully we're back to where we were. Okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to continue on with just a couple of items, but I do want to point out, if you have questions, there's a panel from the GoToMeeting application on your right where you can ask them, and then we will try and answer them all during the course of the webinar. Okay, so let's kind of review some of the takeaways about what Yaron just demonstrated and why we think iShare is a great tool for automating password resets and turning them into a self-service function for your users. So there's no limit to the number of users, and we don't charge by how many users you have in Active Directory. As your user base grows, we grow with you at no extra charge. Since we use a web, email, or text message interface for communications, there's no need to install any agent software for any end users, and this is particularly a huge relief for admins dealing with remote end users. As I mentioned before, all you need is just one iShare server and one SMS modem, and you've got everything you need. We've been told by clients that we are the only solution they found on the market that can handle password resets for multiple domains with just one license. Apparently other vendors require a unique license of their software for every single Active Directory domain. We do not, and you can use your solution for as many Active Directory domains as you want. If you want to incorporate security questions into your validation process, we provide the ability to access numerous sources to fetch questions and validate user answers. By the way, there is no limit on the number of security questions that can be asked, and questions can be randomized. Here's a cool one. Every password reset users submit can be documented automatically in your ITSM ticketing platform. So you not only eliminate the need for your help desk to be doing the work, you'll also relieve them of the burden of documenting it. Expect to be very popular among your L1 technicians as a result of that one. And last but not least, let's say you're not completely ready yet to automate your self-service password resets 100%. Maybe you want to automate everything, but the help desk approval portion, for example, no problem. As Yaron demonstrated, iShare offers the ability to pause workflow and incorporate human decision-making into the process. And of course, approvals can be done via a number of interfaces, including mobile devices, in case admins want to be able to approve things while they're at the cinema or away from the office. Okay, whoops. Sorry, let me back up. Apparently I've paused. There we go. Whoops. Okay, so let's start taking some questions. I see a question that just came in here onto our panel. Does iShare work with single sign-on passwords? We use SSO and Active Directory in our environment. SSO and AD passwords are synchronized. Everyone in our company has a single sign-on SSO password. Your own?
Yeah, obviously once you're changing the password inside the Active Directory, then all the SSO, because the SSO is based on the Active Directory account. So obviously when you modify the password, that's going to work.
Okay. I'm being told to check the question pane. No, I'm sorry, but I don't see it. If you could just keep sending them to me in the chat window, that'd be very helpful.
Guy, there is another question. Does the Yale support this workflow for other apps, not AD? And I think I also answered that in my presentation. So yes, any type of LDAP can be integrated and orchestrate its password reset.
Okay, here's a good one. What are your thoughts if your employees are casino employees that are not allowed cell phones on the floor?
Nice. It's a good question. There are a couple of ways to trigger this process from on iShare. One of them is obviously the text message for your mobile, but then other ways is through a web portal. So they have to have some kind of an access to some kind of environment, some kind of computer, and then we can also expose. And that's also part of the solution that people are getting when they're using iShare is a self-service portal. It's a web interface that people can log in or log in as an anonymous users and request to reset their passwords directly. Those are the two main options.
Okay, which answers the next question if there's a web-based or email-based reset instead of text-based, and the answer is yes to both.
Yes to both, yep.
Okay, can you reset passwords that are within SQL tables? We have applications that are not AD-based.
Yep. Again, any type of system in SQL, it's easy, but any type of system that we can use APIs to integrate, we will be able to modify their password. In SQL, it's easy. We have all those SQL activities that can help us to modify and change any type of information, so the answer is yes.
Okay. Next question. Hello, we use the ticketing tool OTRS. Is it possible to integrate to it?
Integration with ticketing system depends on the level of API it exposed. If there is a good API, then yes, we can do everything. Most of the ticketing system that I'm familiar with are, give us a basic thing that they can intercept emails and then create a ticket out of it. So iShare can send that email at least to have that ticket open. If they have more flexibility than that, then yes, we have ability to integrate with anything that's exposed an API.
Okay, next question. I'm not exactly sure what the question here is, but let's try just reading it out loud. For mobile users, is there a tag to the mobile number for each user if mobile number changes?
So from security, what I'm thinking is that once you're sending it the request and iShare gets it, the first thing we want to know is validate that the phone number is the right phone number that belongs to that user, and that's what we're doing the first check inside the Active Directory. Obviously, smart people can do spoofing and send others' phone number. That's why we're doing a second interaction where we're communicating back with the user and ask him for a security question just to validate that we're on the right guy. If your mobile number will change, then you have to build a different policy that is not based on checking if this is the right phone number. And obviously you can do that. You can just skip that check or create your different checks based on your policy. It doesn't have to be bound to a phone number.
Okay. Let's see. Is there an app for iOS or Android?
I'm sorry, but right now, not yet.
And I want to add to that. You don't need one. All you need is the SMS functionality that's built in. Part of the benefit of using iShare is we don't require you to install any software. It just works with what you've got. Next question. Is it possible to include more than one security question?
As many as you want.
Okay, next question. When the workflow is waiting for input, for example, manager approval, and there is another password reset request, is the workflow triggered separately for the other user?
Separately, different thread for every workflow that is running. 100 people can send 100 requests at the same time. iShare runs a workflow for every request.
Yeah, and I should also add there's no limitation to how many times the workflows can run. You build it once, it can run 1,000,000 times. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Okay, next question. What if there is a break in the process workflow for some reason, like an outage? What would be the status of the request?
The request will be canceled. It depends on you guys' policy if you want to send notification to the user for every step that has been taken care of by the workflow or not. But obviously at that point of time, this workflow will fail and the user will need to send a new request.
Okay, those were some really outstanding questions. Thank you, everyone. There doesn't appear to be any additional questions. So as a next step, I would strongly encourage you all to visit our website and download your own free 30-day trial copy of iShare. It's available from the download menu, or I think it's just been renamed to something else, but it's the first item on the left. And it's a full-featured version of iShare that has all the functionality we demonstrated for you today. So fill out the form for the download, and be sure to check off the integration pack you'd like to test it with, for example, Active Directory. If you need any technical assistance with iShare while you're testing it out, we provide that assistance free of charge during your evaluation period. So the software and the tech support are free during the trial period, making this a zero-risk offer, so don't delay. Start automating password resets today. And that concludes our webinar, everyone. Thank you all for attending. If you think of anything else that you would like to ask, my email address is very easy to remember, excuse me, as is our website, both of which are on your screen now and will stay up for a little while. So have a great rest of the day, and we will look forward to seeing you all at our next webinar. And in the meantime, we wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving holiday this week. Thanks, everyone.